Very excited to be joined by the seventh-year head coach of the Rams, Rafael Serrato. Coach, welcome into the show.
Thanks. Thanks for having me this morning. Morning.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming on. Obviously, a very busy time for you, opening week. And so just right off the bat, talk about the craziness of the last 11 months. How has the Rhode Island baseball program been impacted by COVID, and what's the health of your team? Without, obviously, I know you can't dive into specifics, but just talk about things as we're entering open week.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting year. It's very different from years past. I mean, we're you know always cautiously optimistic that we're going to get through our testing. We had some positives. We got through the whole fall basically with zero positives, and then we had a number of from like late November and then early January. So yeah, it's kind of it's a week by week thing. Just hoping you're good to go, and we're taking every precaution that we can to play. Guys are being very careful. We're always messed up. We're rarely practicing as a full team. Obviously, we have to be indoors a lot with the weather up here this time of year. We had a little delay in early January. We had to delay our start practice for a week. So we're like a week behind where we normally are. But we're itching to get out there and play. I know East Carolina is a really good club, and we haven't played in 11 months, so we're pretty excited to get out there.
So, Coach, before we dive into this year's club specifically, just talking about your time at Rhode Island, it is your alma mater. And you played there from 89 to 93, and you had an excellent career, team captain, all-conference player in the Atlantic 10. And just talk about, like I mentioned in the open, this is your seventh year at the helm, and prior to that, you've been an assistant for 3 seasons. You guys have had a lot of success. I remember you going to South Carolina for a regional and knocking off the 6th-ranked Gamecocks, and some other big wins like over the University of North Carolina. So just where do you see your program at this stage?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly special to coach at your alma mater. It means a lot to me to have the opportunity to be here and to coach this. It's kind of been a dream, basically my dream job to coach here. We're a much different program now than when I was a player. A little more support, facilities better, some better, a little better scholarship situation, and where we've had a pretty good amount of success. And I credit the 2 guys before me, Frank Leone and Jim Foster, really building a program, and we're trying to take it to the next level. Really, I mean, we've been successful, we've been good, but we feel like there's a lot more in the tank for us in terms of competing on a national level, and to be really competing for championships. And not only, our goal ultimately is to go to Omaha. And people, it's pretty difficult in the Northeast because of a lot of, things, but, that's our ultimate goal, is to have a kind of team that can compete at that level. So it's still a work in progress. We're trying to get better every year. And, we think this year team has a chance to be pretty successful. So there's a lot more to do here, a lot more to work, especially facilities, and but we like where we're at as a program now, and like I said, I don't think we're anywhere near how good we could be, ultimately as a program.
Absolutely, like you're saying, if that's not your goal, and that being Omaha, then why are you playing the game? And here several years ago, Stony Brook showed that it can be done.
Right. Yep. Stony Brook, for sure. I mean, you're definitely seeing some northern schools have success. UConn's been very successful. Northeastern, Bryant, us. There's some good northern schools in the Northeast, in New England area. So St. John's. So it can be done. It's a little harder for sure, with facility, weather, and some of the things we have. But there's some really good programs up here, and we feel like we're one of them.
Very quickly, going back to last season, your club was 8-5, and you won your last 4 games before things got shut down, including a win against number 25 Arizona, where you guys put up 15 runs. I know your offense seemed to really be clicking as things were getting shut down.
Yeah, that was tough. We had a really good start to the season. Some good wins. Win every weekend. On our trips. Taking 3 out of 4 in that with Arizona and Central Michigan, who was ranked at the time. So we felt really good offensively. I love where we were at, just disciplined, just tough outs up and down the order. Pitching was solid, and I think was going to get better as the season went on. So that was tough. I mean, I think D1 baseball picked us to win the A10 after the shutdown, and that was a little bittersweet, to kind of see that. But we had a good team, so that was a tough. And we returned. We really only lost two guys from last year's team. Our closer, and then Jackson Coots, who got signed by the Nationals, who was our best hitter. So we returned, most of that group, and then added some couple transfers, a couple freshmen are going to help right away. So we like this group this year.
Obviously, the NCAA with the situation with the pandemic relaxed the eligibility, also the roster limitations, the 35-man roster, and you were just alluding to that. And everybody that you guys have back, how many guys will be on your roster?
Well, we actually are still at 35. Probably 36. Just because URI, just with the gender equity stuff, that we can't have an unlimited roster for us this year. So we will be at 36 this year, which it's good. There'll be a few guys that will redshirt, but we returned 5 guys from last year's team, 5 fifth-year guys that all were done, graduated. They're all coming back for one's for masters, 4 for like second majors and minors. So these guys wanted to come back and have one more opportunity to compete. But yeah, we won't have like 40 plus guys. We'll be right at about 36, maybe 37 for this year.
Talking about this club offensively, you talk about so much being back. Tell us who some of the top bats are up and down your lineup.
Well, some guys had really good start. We have a veteran lineup this year. I mean, we lost Coots, who was phenomenal last year. Xavier Vargas is back. We had a great start. He had, I think, 4 home runs and 16 RBIs in 13 games. Josh Broder will probably be in Austin White, probably 1-2 guys to line up, just on base contact guys who can really run. Mark Coley, probably our biggest pro prospect, very big time tools, be hitting there right second, third in the order. And then just a lot of good solid hitters. Tino Salgado was a young guy, freshman last year. Alex Ramirez, 2 freshmen that played a lot last year, will be right there playing in the infield. And then some Billy Butler, Addison Kopak, 2 younger guys with some big time power. So it's a good lineup. A lot of veteran guys have had success. Really not too many new guys will be in there this year. So it's guys that have been through it. And even the freshmen from last year, they come back as freshmen, but they're still, they still had 30, 40 at bats last year. So got some good experience.
Before we shift over and talk about your pitching staff, just talk about your club defensively. How were you guys playing last season? And the reason I asked that is just obviously so much returning. So and then obviously the variables that we were mentioning before we started recording in terms of the weather and not being able to get out in the field very much.
Yeah, it's been, we got outside yesterday, which was awesome. But we've probably been on taking fungos on the field. We haven't been able to do any kind of scrimmage or like coach pitch game on the field. We've had more snow than usual, but our grounds guys we have a turf field, so they plowed it a few times in the infield. So we've gotten, honestly, probably 5 or 6 times we've gotten onto the infield. We haven't, like I said, we haven't done a full. So I think that's the toughest adjustment for a program like ours, especially when the weather. It's been a rough last month in terms of weather and snow. So that's the biggest adjustment, is just seeing the ball off the bat and kind of the speed of the game. Getting reads in the infield, reads in the outfield, base running reads as well. Like, we just haven't had the opportunity to do that. So that's the toughest adjustment for us. I think we have a really good defensive team. Our center fielder, Austin White, there's no doubt he's one of the best center fielders in the country. He's probably the best center fielder defensively I've ever coached. Xavier Vargas is maybe the best defensive first baseman I've ever coached. So those guys right there, catching wise, were solid. A lot of speed in the outfield, real like plus runners. So we'll be able to track some balls down in the outfield. And then the guys will look good defensively, even though we're taking ground balls on a gym floor or on our football field, or So it's whatever it takes. I think we're going to be solid, but it's tough. That's probably, like I said, the biggest adjustment. From because we've gotten a lot of live at bats inside, pitchers are throwing. We got a nice indoor facility, but seeing that ball off the bat, and the speed and getting those reads, that'll be the toughest adjustment for us as we get going with ECU.
Tell us about your pitching staff. Just looking at some of the numbers and looking at your roster, I think you have a couple of veteran arms that have been pretty productive for you.
Yeah, we got some real veteran guys. I think Vitaly Jangles, who's a fifth-year guy, Nick Robinson, both fifth-year guys, both threw the ball really well last year. I think Vitaly's numbers were better than Nick, but Nick threw the ball well. And Ryan Twitchell, who will start Friday, his numbers were not good last year, but he just struggled. I mean, he only had a couple appearances. He had a really good sophomore year for us. I think got hit by a line drive and broke his wrist. He was a weekend starter. And then he looked phenomenal in the fall. So he's going to get the ball Friday night. He's a kid who's fourth year in school. And we got a transfer, Mike Webb, actually a D3 transfer from in-state here, who's another fifth-year guy who's got a really good arm, legit stuff, not low 90s, good spin rate guy, breaking ball, command, cutter, like he's solid. So a couple of guys are still rehabbing, like Justin Cherry, who was our number one last year, but had a shoulder injury. So his numbers were not good. So he kind of was trying to pitch through it. And he's a couple weeks away, but he's honestly probably our number one when healthy. But he's probably 2 or 3 weeks away from getting out there in the field. And some young guys last year, Don Bacone is going to be our closer most likely, who threw really well as a setup role last year. Zach Fernandez was a freshman last year, really good arm. And then John Morrison, another big time, guy out of the bullpen, but some mid 90s. So it's a veteran staff. A lot of guys have gone through it. Been there. It's one of the deepest staffs we've ever had, probably deeper than that regional team in 2016. Although that team at Akita went 13-1, was an All-American and beat South Carolina. I don't know if we have quite that guy, but it's a pretty deep, versatile group, and we're super excited to get out there and have these guys throw. Like I said, because at a weak start, a few guys are a little delayed, so our pitch counts. We got a lot of guys that haven't thrown a lot. So, it'll kind of be like 1-2 inning appearances for a bunch of guys this coming weekend.
Headed into this weekend, Coach, tell us what you know about Cliff Godwin's East Carolina Ball Club.
They're good. I mean, just a really, traditionally really good club. I'm honest, I haven't gotten too much into looking at them. A lot of my assistants have done that to this point. I'll spend a lot of time on that on our 12-hour bus ride tomorrow, getting more into it. But we know they're just, a really well coached, disciplined team that's going to do the little things well. They'll bunt, they'll play good defense, they'll run the bases, they're going to come at you on the mound. Just us, the kind of team that is not going to really make a lot of mistakes, and just play good baseball. I think that's what what we've talked about so far this week in the office is we really need to play solid. To be able to beat a team like that, we got to play really good. We got to play good defense. We got to throw strikes. We got to be able to defend the short game, because they're going to do all the little things well. I mean, that's really kind of what we've kind of looked at this week is they're going to be solid. They're not going to make mistakes. And we got to make sure that we're able to do the little things really well, to prevent big innings, to make mistakes, fielding bunts, making plays in the infield. So that's kind of the main thing right now. What we don't want, like for us, it's like we know they're going to be good. We need to really, it's more so let's make sure we're doing the things we can control as well as we can, right? Especially early in the year. Like I don't want us to focus too much on ECU because we know they're going to be good. It's going to be a really, really good test for a first team like us to come out of the gate to play them. Honestly, a top 20 program, top 15 program in the country. They're going to be solid. So we have to really focus on, what's in our control and do the little things well on our part.
Yeah, no doubt it'll be an excellent experience for your ball club that will, prepare you for your postseason aspirations for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to that, it's a shame with everything that's going on. I wish you and your ball club could get the full effect of Clark LeClaire Stadium, with the jungle
Oh
and
yeah.
in
Mm-hmm.
the Pirate Nation in attendance.
Believe me, we'd much rather have 4, 5, 6,000 people there and playing in front of because we know I've never been to ECU, so when we scheduled this series, we were really excited about the opportunity. We heard nothing but awesome things about that the stadium, the fans. They're going to be all over us. We love that, honestly. So it's tough, but it's a challenge that's why we like I don't know how much you've looked at our schedule in the past years, but we play a really hard schedule every year. We really want to get after and play the best teams in the country and get that experience. Our kids want that. The kids come to our program because they know we're going to play a great schedule, and it's a shame. I really wish we could play with the full experience. I believe me, it probably might be easier for us to not have 6,000 people screaming at us, but that's not what we want. We want to play in front of those fans. We want them all over us because it's, that's what's fun about, this kind of experience for sure.
Yeah, not to get off on a tangent, but we're talking about teams from the Northeast. Obviously, the last time we got a full season in 2019, Quinnipiac came down, and they were in that regional, and then they knocked off the Pirates, and you could tell their players were really feeding off that atmosphere with 5,000 fans.
Yep, it can, you'll get some kids might shy away from that, but it's something that we expect to be. We hope to be in regionals every year, so we need to be prepared to play in front of that kind of crowd and thrive off it, honestly. So that's why we always play a tough schedule and play against big programs from SEC, ACC, a team like East Carolina, Pac-12. We try to play as many of those teams as we possibly can. I mean, that's an awesome experience. You play in front of 4, 5, 6, 7,000 people. I mean, there's nothing better than that. So it stinks, honestly. I wish we could get that experience because we've heard nothing but phenomenal things about that facility and the fans and believe me, I wish we could have had that.
Couple more questions for you, Coach, and then we'll let you run. But with the Atlantic 10, I know they're going with the divisional format, 24-game schedule. You guys are in the North Division, so just talk about that and your schedule as a whole.
Yeah, it's a little different this year. I mean, normally we play. There's 13 teams in the league, and normally we play 8 weekends, 3-game series, 24 games. This year they split it because of COVID, because of cost. Obviously everyone's in a bind financially this year, really. So, less travel, less, no flights in conference for us, which normally we have 1 or 2. It's different. I mean, I think, our side of conference for sure. I think us and Fordham should be competing. The Fordham's going to be really good. They've had very good pitching. They won it in 2019, the last time we finished the season. So they're going to be good. I mean, the other team's going to be solid. I mean, St. Joe's, I think, is going to be a lot better. UMass will be a lot better. You got St. Bonaventure and LaSalle as well. This is supposedly unfortunately, LaSalle is dropping baseball after this season. I think they're still hoping to raise funds to keep it. I mean, we would love them to be able to keep that because it's such a shame with that, with a dropping a team. So, I think it's going to be competitive on our side. On the other side will be even more competitive, I think, with VCU, St. Louis, Davidson, Dayton, some really, really good teams on the other side as well. So we won't see them, in the regular season. And then the conference tournament, it's only the top 2 teams in each half make it this year. Normally 7 teams make it. So this year it's only 4, and then the top 2, make it on each half. So we hope to be in that, 4-game championship series.
Final question for you, Coach, is obviously Eric Bakich, the head coach at Michigan, former East Carolina standout. I'm sure you're well aware of the argument that he made to play college baseball a little bit later on, a later start date with the College World Series, I guess coming in late July or maybe even early August. So just give us your thoughts on that, and do you ever foresee that happening?
That's a tough. I mean, I personally would love it. And I think it would benefit our program greatly because I think, the early season, the fact that, we're trying to get on a field with snow on the ground. I mean, that's not easy to do. And I think it would be to play in Rhode Island in May and June would be phenomenal. This is where we are. We're about 6 miles from the ocean. It's a vacation destination in the summer. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. So it certainly would be an awesome place. There's a bunch of NECBL teams locally, the College Summer League. So it's an awesome place in the spring and summer, especially late spring and summer. So it would benefit us. I think it would benefit a lot of northern teams. I think the one issue is I think finances for a lot of the northern schools. It's keeping kids in school, paying for housing, paying for food. I think that's the biggest issue. So the one concern I have, if that did happen, again, I like the idea and I'm for it because it would work for us. But I would just what could be the issue with that is there becomes more of a separation from the big Power 5 programs and the mid majors like us, that potentially couldn't finance that. So that'd be that's my only concern. I think it's better for college baseball for sure. I think it would be better for our program. But that would be my one concern with that is because could teams, because I know I've talked to some Ivy League coaches and they're like, there's no way we could ever do that. They will not keep kids in school in the summer. So that's the concern of me is there become more of a separation in D1, because right now it's good. Like there's a lot of teams, programs like ours that can compete with the big boys, as they say. So we're that would be my one concern is it make it more of a separation from schools. But I like the idea. I honestly would be for it. I think it would help our program in particular for sure. But we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of years with that.
Absolutely, Coach. Really appreciate your time this morning. Appreciate you carving out some time for us. Obviously, you're extremely busy, so fingers crossed that both teams will be in good health and that we'll have some baseball this weekend at Clark LeClaire Stadium. And safe travels to you and the Rams, and best of luck in the 2021 season.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And like I said, fingers crossed, saying some prayers today that we can play some baseball this weekend. And there's a lot of baseball across the country, and we can get through this season. Everyone's staying safe, and we can get through. I know there's going to be some issues at some point, probably with everyone, but hopefully it keeps getting better and better as we get through the year, and we can play as much as possible, get these guys in the field.